So we had twin girls, Katie and Kristen, and they were both had just finished middle school, and we're going to be starting high school in a few weeks, and it was really fun having two twin girls like that. In August of 2002, we were all together on a family trip, and we were going down to Cedar Point, which is an amusement park in Sandusky, Ohio. And after really the first ride that we'd been on, Katie and my sister and I were in line for another ride, and Katie started having some weird symptoms. She just said that, that she'd had this weird feeling in her head. We ended up being taken by ambulance to a hospital there in Sandusky. They did a CAT scan and saw a huge bleed. She had a cerebral hemorrhage. And they flew her and me by helicopter to Cleveland, and there they did surgery on her. She came through the surgery, and it kind of looked for a while like maybe she was gonna make it. And the next morning, something happened. We don't know exactly what. It was like 4:30 that day. They declared her brain dead. It's Friday afternoon. You lose your child. It's just this kind of surreal sort of experience. And then the next morning, we were all up at my parents' house, and I remember, kind of waking up, and people slowly kind of, as they were waking up, kind of gather in the living room, and just this stupor almost, like, did that really happen, And then we got news from the Organ Procurement Organization in Ohio that they had found recipients for all of her organs, both kidneys, the liver, the heart, the lungs, and it didn't get rid of the tears, but it was a huge blessing in the midst of that, getting that news on Saturday morning. When there's an organ transplant involved with this kind of thing, there's anonymity between the donors and the recipients. And so all we knew is that a woman in Ohio had received her lungs. And it was 6 months later that she wrote us a note. Janet she's a small woman, and she always knew if she was going to get a pair of lungs, it was probably going to have to come from a child. And Katie fit the bill for that. It's really a miracle that it worked out as well as it did. After Jill and I got to know her, she told us that one of the things she'd like to do at some point is maybe participate in the transplant games. And I think that's actually what gave us the idea to eventually invite them to the Boulder Boulder. So I think we'd probably talked about the Boulder Boulder with Janet and Joe for maybe a couple years, and finally in 2013, everything came together. Keep in mind, before that point, only Jill and I had met Janet. Nobody else in the family, including Kristen, had met Janet yet. And so, there's some kind of uncertainty, like, what's that going to be like? Because even I know when Jill and I first met her, it was very emotional for us and for her. And they came, and it was just like we'd always known them.
For me, to see our family just celebrate Katie's life and be together and be happy is great. And for Janet and Joe to see that too was so special. I think it's great that we all just get together and just enjoy each other's company, and then we get to do the Boulder Boulder, which is so much fun. And some of our family members are athletic and some of them aren't, but just having that tradition that we have every year is just fantastic.